Yo, 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 yo. Welcome to another episode of the joeZONE podcast. Today I have awesome guests with me, man. Yo, this is a podcast I've been looking forward to for a while. Today I have with me the stars of the hit show Sodium Day. Welcome, guys. The crew and star. I got the director here with me, so Riaz, Chelsea over there, and Amandla. We're gonna start with, first of all, we're gonna chat to the other people as well, but we're gonna start off with them. So first off, guys, I'm gonna ask the director some questions like how did this movie get shot? How did it get made? Was there a budget for the movie? I know you guys told me earlier you got it shot in 2016. Tell me how it got made. Or how did the idea come about?
I got asked to make showreel material for a class of graduating drama students.
Okay.
And they wanted about 1 or 2 minutes per student, and they were 25. And I thought if I make 3 or 4 minutes per student, I have the length of a feature film.
Okay.
And I'd always been wanting to make a film about the high school experience in Cape Town, in South Africa, in a particular kind of school.
Yeah.
And I think I met you guys in like July, August.
Yeah.
And I proposed that that instead of we doing showreel material with you, that we actually come together and we make the film.
Yeah, 2016. Yeah.
And then from that period of time to the September holidays, we went into pre-production and rehearsals, and we made the film.
So you guys had no budget, zero budget.
No, there was money involved.
Okay.
We didn't have the budget of an average film being made in South Africa.
Okay, obviously.
So what happened was a lot of that budget goes into manpower. Different people doing different roles,
Editing and so on, like behind the scenes.
Well, yeah. So what happened was the people who chose to participate in the film, many people deferred their payment because they believed in the project.
Okay.
So the amount of money needed to initiate the project wasn't large because people chose to participate in it.
Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That makes 100% sense. So obviously you guys got the movie made, like got the movie shot, and it's a high school based movie.
Yes.
In Cape Town. Like you comment a lot about, like, was it your intention to comment about the topics about did you go out there thinking, listen, yeah, I want to comment about all the things that's happening in Cape Town, or was it just part of the process as you were making the movie?
I am a high school teacher.
Yeah.
I've taught high school prior to making the film. I taught from the mid-90s to the mid-2000s, somewhere between 7 to 10 years of high school teaching. And I had things to say about what was going on in the schools. Everything that happened in the film is based on an experience that I had in a school.
Okay.
But I condensed all that stuff together into one day.
Okay, so it was from experience.
Yes.
Experience, and it's good that we point that fact out, because a lot of time people will say, "Are you making you creating art, but you have no background experience about that, but you actually love this experience. You know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Sometimes people comment about when certain people create art that they, what do they call that? Almost like they culture vulturing, you know. But you can't be a culture vulture if you're part of the culture, really. You know what I mean? That I'm trying to say. There were some comments that was made around that. That's what I'm trying to address here.
Yes.
Yeah. So how did the movie get to move on to? How did it get onto Netflix?
It was quite a long process. I think the post-production of the film finished in 2017, and we did a little cast screening. Mm-hmm. And then from that point onwards, the journey of a film is to go to film festivals, and then at film festivals, there's engagement with distributors, and a distributor who might be interested in the film will take it, and then they will plot a pathway for the film. But the film didn't have a clear pathway. The only 2 festivals that were available to us were Durban International and Cape Town International Film Festival. Durban didn't take the film. Cape Town International did take the film, but there wasn't a lot of publicity generated around that film.
What year was that they took the film festival? That
I want to say 2018.
okay.
I think so.
Okay, so this was pre-COVID. So you guys are all in the background thinking, yo, my stuff is going to a film festival. Huh? How are you guys feeling when this is happening? Because this is obviously happening around. How are you feeling there, Aman? Like when you were realizing this is going to a film festival, are you realizing that this can possibly be something great? Or are you just like, whatever? Huh?
Well, what I can say is that for us, since we shot the film, we always had that hope that, one day the movie will definitely be on the platform where it's needed. And this is something that we've been waiting for it for a very long time. And when we hear that the movie will be showing, it kind of, from a personal experience, it kind of excited me, to say, okay, Rias have told about this. The director of the film has been saying this. This, guys, I will push the film. One day you guys will sit down and enjoy what you've made. You're going to be a part of a beautiful experience that we have created together. So it kind of created that excitement to say, hey, this is something, because we're at the position now, we are out of varsity. Each and every one of us there, we are hustling.
Yeah.
We're trying to get into the media industry, we are pushing, and this is something. So we're all looking forward to it. And I would say excitement is the...
Chelsea, how about you? Did you always have a belief from the start when you were shooting the movie that one day it could be on Netflix maybe, or possibly?
Absolutely. I think all of us knew when we started to see what Riaz had in mind for the script and for the vision of the story, not just for us as young actors at the time, trying to break through, like Amanda said, into the media industry. But as soon as we saw the concept of the message that this was sending to the South African government and to our educational system, and specifically drawing attention to the Cape Flats, which is often an area that is not drawn enough attention to, I think we all got so excited about, wow, we're going to be a part of actually making a difference.
A movie with a message.
A movie with a message. And I think that I knew that this was going to be one of those instances where great things take time. And we were so privileged to have a man on our side that didn't just believe in us, but he believed in what he had created. And we maybe didn't think it was going to be in like 6-7 years down the line. But that is also just it's a big message overall to anybody in life trying to succeed at anything that they are passionate about. Don't give up, because when you don't give up, this is what happens. It was a student film that's now on like flipping Netflix, guys.
Wow.
Like, how cool is that?
Well, at any stage point, were you scared of that message? Maybe like scared of putting out a message that people could have backlash while you're making it, or were you just like fearless going into this?
I'm not someone that is scared of things like that. I think we all knew that there would be. But even when after our very first screening, I actually had an altercation with very close friends of mine, like after the screening, about certain messages that were addressed in the film. But I think that with anything in this country that requires change is going to require an argument.
Yeah.
So I think we were ready for it, and I was more thrilled at, okay, let's do this. Let's have this conversation. Let's have this argument. I learned a lot from it. I think that's when my journey started with like socialism and understanding things that I was also raised to maybe think were right that were not right. And it started to awaken things in my mind. And I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, man, that's really interesting. Like, it's really, you guys are young artists, like, and you're a really brave young artist, I think, to put out a message like that and like say, listen here, this is what we're gonna stand for. And like the crew, the casting crew, obviously saw everything that was being shot there. So it's a brave message, man. And sometimes I told you guys I do a little bit of stand-up comedy. So sometimes stand-up comedians can get a little bit of flack for the message that they're trying to put out, or artists can get flack for the message. Sometimes they go overboard. Like maybe dressing up like a devil on stage is not so cool. I don't know. It's all up to the viewer and that type of things. But I think the message that you guys tried to put out was quite brave, like, and one of it like was you guys used the K word like quite a lot.
That was the argument I had with somebody after this first screening.
Malusi,
Yes, sir.
they use the K word. I'm not going to say that word. I'm never going to say that word because it's just as an artist. As an artist, one day a comedian used that word on stage, and I told him, "Nah, bruh, you can make a joke without using that word, man. You can create art without pushing that boundary." How do you guys feel about that word, if I may ask? I'm gonna ask the other guys as well, but we'll start off with you guys. Yeah,
Well, what I can say is
you used it in the movie, and you saw that, right?
yeah.
Before the time.
Most definitely, I had the script. Yeah. This is something-
You already had the script.
we had a preparation before that. So at the time when we were preparing for the movie, like from the get-go, when we received the script, we all had an understanding of what is the message that we want to put out there, and we all were aligned, in terms of what is the process and what is the message, what does it take. So we all had to be brave, and these are uncomfortable conversations. This is not something that we go through daily, but this is the reality of where we live in. This is something that at some point we have to face, and you have to take the outcome. And we know that we didn't expect a specific reactions, but we knew that all we had to focus on was the message that we're trying to put out there, and then let people take it. They can react how they want to react.
Yeah, man.
So can I just my opinion on that? So when I heard the character blah blah say that those words, I was taken aback. But the thing is, I've experienced in schools, because I for a year and a half I worked for an NGO and I worked in schools, and that word was used, and we tried to explain to that kid, like, dude, you can't just use that word, but it was just oblivious because he's so used to it already. You know what I'm saying? So I think with that word being so sharp and the way it was used, it gives you that shock. But think about the victim of that word, how he feels. You know what I'm saying? So I've never, in terms of the derogative the words for color will be the H word. I hate that word. So I can relate to somebody calling you that. So for me, it's definitely one of those risks that you had to take. I can see how the movie had to take that turn for it to make sense.
Yeah, man, I liked this interesting thing that you said, that you had to open up the conversation. Like, you have to open up the conversation because this is happening in South Africa. It's not like it's not happening. It is happening. So now you're putting it on screens, opening up the conversation, and now we having that conversation, even taking it a step further. And we have to say, nah, you can't use that word yet. We have to understand why it's been used, what the history of it, so that we don't, the next generation doesn't I don't know, repeat the same mistakes. What do you feel about it, Riaz? About the use of, I mean, who wrote the script?
Me, I wrote the script.
Okay, so you probably put the word there.
Like I said before, I'm not gonna separate that from the numerous other issues that were in the film.
No, we're gonna touch on all issues.
But so just to but I can generalize about all the issues and say, I'm simply trying to show the truth that I experienced in my 10 years of working in high schools. That was what I wanted to do. I wanted to create a landscape and squeeze as many truths as I could into that about what our young people are experiencing at schools. The person who is using the racist terminology is as much a victim of a culture that has gone wrong, that has lost its way, as the person who's receiving that and having to deal with that. So the central proposition of the film is, what if this is happening in our schools? at the moment, and this is what the majority of South Africans are experiencing. And now that we've all seen it, can we allow this to continue?
Yeah.
That's the central proposition. So I didn't look at that as any more controversial than any of the other issues that are in the schools. I find going into a school and witnessing what happens at some of those schools, that I find controversial, that we've allowed that to happen.
Yeah.
So I don't consider the film controversial or any of the issues controversial. I think it's controversial that we've allowed many of our schools to get to that place.
That's very, 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 very well put. Showing the ugly truth, like that is essentially what you guys are doing. It is there. We can't put it under the cover, under the carpet. Sorry. People say that you guys don't deserve to be on Netflix, and other movies are more popular. Like this is one guy that just won an award now from Bonteville or Menenberg, I don't know. I was telling Nentle, I think you guys deserve to be there, but people don't want to see the ugly truths, man. They want fairy dust and no, they want some other type of story. Maybe they like they want to hear the victory of the colored story or the black story and stuff like that, and they don't want to hear the ugly truths which is out there. Do you think that's so, or am I totally off the point here?
I mean, who gets the film, who takes the film, who screens the film, it's totally out of my hands. What we try and do as a group that makes a film together, because it's an integrated effort from a lot of people to make this thing work, is that you try and do the best that you can do, and then you put it out there. And it's taken 6 years, and we were extremely lucky that Netflix gave this film a chance. And so without my ego getting involved about like, oh, I made something or we made something good, you can just watch the film as its own entity and watch it go into the top 10 in South Africa, Netflix, make it to number 4, then drop back down off the top 10 and then come back in again over a period of 3.5 to 4 weeks, and then sit in there and sitting next to very big budget American films, with lots of marketing and lots of big names and big stars. And so if individuals believe that it doesn't deserve to be there, that's their right and that's their prerogative. Maybe I don't even believe that it should be. I don't know. But the film is its own thing now, and it's doing what it's going to do in spite of what I say or do or what other people say and do.
Yeah, it's crazy. You can't control what goes viral. Like some stuff just speak to people different than other stuff. And maybe like this low budget film of you guys, it just spoke to people, some people, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of people out there, there is people that is living that life. There's a lot of people that's not living that way. Like I never went to a high school like that. I was fortunate enough not to go to high school like that. But I do have friends that went to high schools like that. So I'm familiar with that. It's not my story, but I'm familiar with that story. So there is that, and it's interesting, it's for whose flavor is it to you? Is this speaking to you? Is this not speaking to you? But the interesting part of that movie also is that it's because of the variety of characters, like your Chelseas, like your Malusis, like your blah blahs. There's 3 different people coming from 3 different areas coming to one place, that you have that mixture of I don't know. That's really South Africa, isn't it?
Absolutely.
A mixture of people, yeah. It's really South Africa.
Ryan, I just want to get to the point where people complain about the movie being on the...
You people.
No,
Not me.
People in general. So I had a guest on Wednesday, Soraya Williams. She says, if you think that if somebody hates on you, right, is going to make any difference in somebody else's life, then you're not doing something right, man. You're not seeing this thing really for what it is. You will prosper for the work you've done. Nobody's gonna hold you back. You know what I'm saying? And she says, if you think about it, if you trust in your Creator for your success, if you think that somebody is gonna be chazat, you know the word, is going to be hazard and hinder that progress, then you're not putting a lot of faith in your God, man. You know what I'm saying? And you don't believe enough that you can actually achieve something. So that's just my opinion on that.
If I can jump in there, I think if you've done your best, and I can speak for everybody on this project, there wasn't a single person that I can think of that didn't do their best on this project. Comments like that don't mean anything. Like, it's not that I don't mind it. I don't mind those comments. And if people have criticisms of the film, I'm totally willing to hear them.
Yeah.
You know, after all, you're making film for audiences and you want to hear what they have to say. Like, and it's very important to hear that. And it's very important to hear criticism. But like, if they think that if anybody's ever done their best on something, there's not much anybody can say that is going to affect you in any particular way. I can just go, well, look, I'm sorry you didn't enjoy it. I'm sorry you think the message was bad or something like that. But I honestly was doing my best to be as fair as possible to show those things. And the actors all dedicated themselves to the characters and brought them across in such an honest way and interpreted the characters so amazingly. That's all I could ask for, you know.
Can I just... Sorry, man. I'm doing your job now. Sorry, man. So for the characters, how did you get into character? For me, it's almost... I look at movies and I see the same actor be a different person. And how do you guys actually do it? How do you get into character that something like that? How does the character process work for you guys personally?
I think, you know, obviously when we were in our third year then, so we had gone through lots of processes of getting into different characters, but this was quite a different experience because, you know, as Riaz explained in the beginning, he was given this task as a lecturer to create a film with what he had. So it was kind of like looking at all of us and being like, what can I do with all of you with like keeping your hair the way it is or keeping your like, I don't know, figure the way it is, or the fact that maybe somebody was pregnant or maybe somebody was older and now somebody else was younger, because we were a very mixed like age group, a very mixed demographic of people. So I think with that, it was kind of like he looked at what we were in front of him and kind of made like heightened versions, you could say, of that. Obviously, I'm not like a blonde Barbie doll person in real life, but during that, I think I put myself into a place of, I didn't grow up like this Brittany character, but to embody her, for me personally, I put myself into that space of white privilege. That was what I really had to like go deeply into. And obviously as a white person, it's not hard to look around me and who I'm associated with and just kind of embody what I can from the white culture. And that's what I did. And just to touch quickly on what you guys were saying just now, I just can't like let that go. Is if people are saying maybe the film doesn't deserve to be on Netflix, maybe as young actors, people felt like, okay, we're not established, we don't have big names. Like maybe they feel like the actors don't deserve to be there. But how can anybody argue, and I'm not just saying this because I'm in the film, how can anybody argue that that message does not deserve to be on a platform like Netflix? It has to be, because it is an unacceptable reality of South Africa and the Cape Flats.
I like what you just said. I like a lot what you just said. You brought up a few things that you touched on. Is like, that's very interesting. Like first you said white privilege, and then you brought up the fact that this message should be out there. So it's like you're saying something, but you're backing it up or so. A lot of people will steer away from that conversation. It's a hard conversation to have, especially as a white person. I'm even like light of I'm colored, but I'm light. But I even have I also have a bit of privilege. You know what I mean? I'm better. I have it better than a lot of colored. So it's difficult to say that I've got these privileges and look at somebody else like that doesn't have these privileges, that maybe grew up with me. Like you also growing up with with everybody else like around you in Cape Town. A lot of people ignore that, but to bring that to the forefront is good. It's good.
Yeah, it is. Like Amanda said, it's difficult conversations. You know, I'm not saying every white person grows up with money, but the history of this country is the history of this country. And if you had a certain color skin, you got things that other people didn't, and that's not okay. We're trying to move past that.
Brilliant.
Yeah. But the only way we move past that is about talking about it, like bringing up that conversation,
Absolutely.
not hiding the fact that people got, some of us got a little bit more than others, or got maybe a backup plan, or I don't know. Education is very important. Like, it's interesting that the movie is about education, because I mean, the fact that the Foxes come in there with a way better, like you guys come in there with a way better education than the 12Y Denomas. It's interesting that you put that comparison within the movie, in the context of the movie, and people maybe overlook these things, these intricacies of the movie.
Yeah, that's the point, right? Is like, education is a right. I think that is like the thing. No matter who you are, where you come from, like, you know, looking at Pabalwa's character, I know you guys are going to bring her in just now. Like, her character was like really intelligent and like hungry for information and hungry for education, and she was deprived of that. And that's like, you know, it's, I don't know if I can swear, but it's not right. It's not right.
She's willing to learn. She's willing.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I can jump in there, as a teacher, I would go into schools in extremely underprivileged areas, and all I ever saw were hundreds and hundreds of young people who desperately want to learn. That's all I came across. You know, this a narrative that goes around, oh, but the kids of today you can't handle them, you can't manage them, all that kind of thing. But the truth of the matter is, we are doing everybody a disservice by not realizing that the vast majority of our young people want to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's Nantle used to work in Yalewood, and so that's in a lot of colored neighborhoods. So the main thing that he was struggling with, right, was the fact that there was kids willing to learn, but because of the circumstances around what was happening, like just like in the classroom, there's a lot of people distraction, and they maybe don't come to school like in a right mindset. It's just very, very difficult for them to learn. So there is maybe kids that want to learn, but then obviously there's outside factors that impact that, and obviously in the colored and the black communities, that's more so prevalent than in the white communities. There's more discipline and structure in schools, where there's more money, where there's less school. How many kids are in a class nowadays? Like 40? Is it still 40?
Depends on the school, depends on the subject, depends on the grade. But I'm going to say you can get up to 50 and 60 in a lower grade classroom. You can. It doesn't always happen, but you can do that. I mean, at the moment, at the beginning of the year, at government schools in South Africa, there's always lack of places. That's happened at the beginning of this year, where you end up with thousands and thousands of young people who do not have a place in grade 1, and they don't have a place in grade 8.
Sure.
Coming in, and there's nothing to be done about it. So ultimately what happens is the schools have to then compromise and then take more kids than they are capable of taking.
So there's not enough schools, basically. I don't know if I mean, you what it is, and I've mentioned this before, is in South Africa our bureaucracies are retroactive. The problem has to happen, and then they try and deal with it. Yes.
And then because there are so many issues that come up when you deal with things that way, you end up with this tsunami of issues that you're still dealing with.
Eskom.
And you don't deal with the present. Eskom is an example. SAA is an example.
SAA.
Metro Rail is an example.
They knew it was a problem like before all the time, but they didn't fix it then. Then they run into problems later.
So we know we have the capability of projecting 5 and 10 years into the future and knowing how many kids are expected to have a school place in grade 8 and have a school place in grade 1. We know that we have that information, but until our bureaucracies learn that they must look forward and plan ahead, we're always going to get this backlog coming in. So it's a systemic problem that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah, but in the educational space, it's going to become even a more massive problem further down the line. Because if you think about it, like if these kids are not getting into schools, and probably a lot of them is dropping out, maybe in grade 8, maybe some of them, they do their primary school, but it comes to they can't get into a spot in grade 8, they just leave school. They just go do whatever. So they become unemployed. So therefore, like our unemployment rate goes even more up. Even that's why it's so high. Even
I mean, the problem becomes more complex because actually, whether you have a matric or not doesn't have such a big influence in this country on whether you're employed or not.
Is that so?
There are. Amanda, you can probably bear me out if you're coming from a township arena that everybody, most people have actually a Matric Pass.
Yeah.
And they still are not employed.
Or even with a diploma or a degree nowadays.
Even then.
Yes.
So again, I mean,
even the fact that they got education, it doesn't matter.
So we've got to look at what is the value of our education in this country at the moment, and then how is it integrating? What is the pathway? Like, what do we as South Africa, as a nation, what do we want the individual experience to be, the average individual experience to be? And then we've got to work towards that. And that's a multiple points of change. That's a point of change at the schools in terms of what we expect from our education system.
Yeah.
But then it's also how does that end up with people being able to support themselves at the end of the day? Like, does that education achievement then dovetail with
a place to work or
a way of sustaining yourself and raising a family?
Because it could be entrepreneurial as well. Like
absolutely. And there have been initiatives, right? There have been initiatives. There are a lot of organizations that the government and non-government organizations that actually are trying to upskill and create employment. But until the plan is clearer, it becomes very difficult to do that.
What do you think is like a tiny solution? Have you got any type of solution to this mega problem?
I mean, that's like we can sit down and have a 10-hour conversation.
But we can, but like, do you have like just a pointer for me to ponder on?
Okay, I'll put this point out there. I don't know, it might be a bit.
Come, put it out there. Come on, man. It's a podcast.
Yeah. If a population expands, like say for example, you had 5 people originally, and there were 5 jobs.
Yeah.
And that expands to 20 people.
Yes.
Right? The fact that there are more people means there's more demand for services.
Yeah.
Which means that jobs should be able to scale up. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
So the fact that there are 1,000 more people means there are 1,000 more demands, means that there should be 1,000 more opportunities to work.
Yes.
I mean, I'm oversimplifying here, but now we haven't thought of it that way. What we think about is, no, there's 20,000 people and no jobs. So we're not thinking about it properly, saying, no, but there are 20,000 more demands for various services. Therefore, out of those 20,000 people, each one of those persons could be providing a service of some kind.
For something.
Yeah, but then you see, that's a way of looking at employment. So until you're looking at it differently, I'm not saying that's the right answer, but I think that's a different way of looking at it.
Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah?
You know what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, because we it's like putting a plaster on a wound instead of treating it, putting on a helmet before you know what I mean?
Yes.
Put on a helmet before you go, instead of knocking your head and then bleeding, and then you have to solve that problem. I understand what you're saying.
So then again, I think we come back to systemically in South Africa that we're always reacting to problems, but we're not planning in a way, or we're quite scared. So maybe you can understand this. Maybe this is something that you can relate to. Once a person has a job in South Africa, you hang on to that thing for dear life, right? And that hanging on, I'm talking about people who are a little bit more disadvantaged, right? There is a tick box of things that you must do in that job, and they stick to that tick box like nobody's business. You try and go walk into a ShopRite or Checkers, through the entrance and then you have to go through the exit. But if you want to turn around and leave the shop through the entrance, the security guard stops you. And he's like, you can't go through here. And you're like, dude, come on, I just walked in here. I just want to go and get my... He will not allow it. And you'll get irritated and upset and go like, these guys are not trained. They don't know what they're doing. Like, someone stop me from going... But the truth is, he's hanging on to the job so tightly and he's got that little tick box thing.
I know what you're talking about. I've experienced this before. We've all experienced this. I actually experienced it yesterday. My son, actually, I never told this guy this. My son cut his foot quite badly, like six stitches, in the back of his Achilles. But anyway, so we went into the emergency room, and they're like, no, only one person allowed. And we were like, come on, man, he's a little boy. Like, this is the mother and the father going to the same. And they were like, no, only one person. But again, somebody was in that situation where they were holding on for their job for dear life.
Because you can be fired like that. You know what I mean? So you can't. And now, so what I'm saying is, if all of us are hanging on like that, there's no room for innovation. There's no room for looking at something and going like, oh, this is what you need to do, or this is what we can do, or this is a better strategy, and proposing that strategy. There's none of that. There's just a set of rules that you need to stick to. So the reason I'm bringing that up is that's not a good environment for progress.
Yeah.
That we are sitting like that. And so our bureaucracies and our systems all have those tick boxes that people are desperately hanging on to all the time. Nobody's innovating. There's no pilot projects to try and do things differently. And then on top of that, there's a culture that is in our society at the moment of take government money when you can and take as much of it as you can. So I mean, yes, you can look ahead and go like, yeah, but there's probably a few gangster guys or a few people who are behaving with criminal activity who get all the tenders and then they don't provide the service properly. But actually, all of us have that mindset. We all have that mindset. The moment we have access to government money, we grab and we hold and we pull, and we don't realize it's our money. It's our tax money that was supposed to be there for the upliftment of the country, and instead we're grabbing it and put it in our pockets, and then we don't build a nation. So don't
leave anything back. No, I understand. Is 100% what you're saying. This is something called, what's this? Andrew Yang. What is Andrew Yang's thing?
Universal basic income.
Universal basic income. Are you familiar with it?
Yes.
So, does that appeal to you?
There are many systems. That's one, and there are many other things but a system doesn't work if the culture
is
engaging
not right.
The system is
100%.
Not right.
Because if the culture is going to take the money and chill, you know what I mean.
So there's issues like that in the UK where they have the dole system, and it's pretty nice to be living there because you always have.
But they got all of the stolen money, so.
Well. Besides, but what I can say is from spending time and living in the UK that there's a large percentage of people who just become parasites on the system.
Yeah,
they literally
I
just
also lived there for 2 years.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
So that's the danger there, and the other danger is kids at schools don't invest a lot of effort in the education because they have this fallback thing. They're not driven to succeed because the people are going to be knocking on the door for money because they know at the end of the day they will have a place to stay and they will get money every month. So again, if you've got to establish the culture and then things will work.
Babawa, you're sitting over there quite quiet, and normally they say you're a TikToker and you make a lot of noise. Like your character was quite. She was willing to learn.
Absolutely.
Do you see yourself in this character, or is this totally not like you? Or have you seen this character in your life, or tell me about this character a little bit?
Well, the character is
Is it you?
That is definitely me.
Okay.
Because the other thing that made me laugh is that one of my high school friends watched the movie and then was like, Babalwa, that is you. That is you. The director was on point with it. I was like, no, you're lying. Then she was like, remember in high school, like you were always in front, always like writing the names.
Okay.
I tell the teacher, I was like, okay, yes, Riaz hit the spot. That is definitely me.
Okay, so and you that character, where did you grow up?
In Joburg mostly.
Okay.
Joburg
mostly. So when you were growing up in Joburg, were you like always a go-getter? Like,
oh, absolutely.
Is it?
No, that is me. That is me. If I want something, I'm going to get it.
And what gave you this outlook? Like, Like what made you, was your parents, or what sparked this? I need to achieve at school.
Okay. The most important thing that I'm going to say is that it's my parents, because they have worked hard. Actually, for there's three of us. Like, they work hard. I see them, like, they're both nurses.
Yeah.
They always go, like, working night shifts and all of that, day shifts, overtime, always just to get us to school. Just to get us to go to school. Because now they're trying to actually give us what they never had. Because
Yeah.
even my dad, like, if we're speaking English or I'm writing an email, he'd be like, can you please read that for me? And he, like, literally correct me. And he's like, no, can you please go to the dictionary and check for the name? Because I want you to pronounce it correctly. So for me, playing this character actually did a lot for me, because to tell you the truth, I never experienced what she experienced.
Is it?
For me, the schools that I actually went to in Joburg, I went to a private and a government school. So for me, there is a difference between those schools, like a lot of differences. So the racism that they're talking about in this movie, I never experienced that. Only now in the movie. So it's like, it was shocking. And I was like, oh my word. So people do go through this. So when I played the character, I actually went in. Oh, another thing. I'm so sorry. I'm just everywhere.
No, go for it. We're on a podcast. Talk as much as you want.
The other thing is that you asked us, how did we actually tune into the character?
Yeah.
Shout out to Linita. Linita always
Who's Lenita?
our city varsity lecturer.
Okay.
We always had this emotional thing. Like, I don't know, she would sit us down for us to tune into any characters. So for you to play a character, you would need to just put yourself in that character's shoes. So, for example, for her, what I did, it was pretty easy, because that is me. So I was just myself. But then the thing that hurt me the most is that there's also people like Nolutano that go through that are not actually given a chance to actually learn, because she was willing to learn. She even asked someone who's from, is it America? For help. She did.
So she can get into university.
Yes, she did. She wanted to be a doctor. She wanted to be someone.
I remember.
She wanted to make her parents proud, but she was never given a chance because the teachers, they were whack.
So she was, your character was like different from the normal stereotypes in the class.
Perfect.
Because everybody was like a certain way, but your parents is like maybe hardworking and they instill that in you.
Absolutely.
But our character over there, Mario, tried to whisper in your ear there. Sorry.
That does happen though.
He tried to whisper in your ear. Sorry, man, I keep coming too close to the mic. He tried to whisper in your ear and you sort of fell. Your character fell for that trick.
That does happen though. Especially because I'm like, when you're a talkative type of student, you're always focusing in class, there's always that devilish popular guy that like wants to get with you, just to get you to go down.
And then you get pregnant and then there goes your doctorate.
Exactly.
Now you must
start all over again.
Now you
So
must
it
do
does
something
happen.
else.
It's just for us, in that movie, we just wanted to show each child out there, just to say that to them that this does happen. Oh, and another thing. Oh, I was listening to you guys talking earlier, so I had all of this. Another thing is, Riaz, before all of this, while we were learning there, there's this thing that he said to us is that once we get out of there, we'll get criticism. Good criticism, bad criticism. You just have to be ready. I was ready for 6 years. I was ready for it. Each night, I'm everywhere. I'm on TikTok, Facebook. I'm everywhere.
Ready for 6 years.
Even my inbox is like, I have people in box, like a lot of DMs and stuff. And I'm like, I took my time to read it. And then people were like, so you're famous now. So how does it feel? I was like, I'm still Babalwa. That's just me. So I was just answering them. And then I came to this nice message that was like, there was someone who came with a bad thing. Now, something just to put us off, like criticism just to put us off. But the only thing that I just answered there, which also goes back
Was
to...
it the inbox or...
It was a message, a nice message. I was like...
Inbox?
That's the message that actually took me back, because I was like, I actually gave up on acting. But then that message was like, okay, we did something good in that movie. If it can change someone's perspective about life and education, we did something good.
Yeah.
So I won't let a few criticism and bad experiences with bad people and their bad remarks to just put us down. The message in that story needs to be heard no matter what. Because it needs to be heard, because totally. I even let my dad watch the movie, and I was like, please watch it from a different perspective. Don't think about me. Because obviously, oh my God, you're good, all of that. And then he watched the movie, and he's like, I was like, can you please tell me what you saw in this movie? And then he told us the gangster stuff and don't stuff and all of that. And I was like, thank you. That's all I needed. The message in that movie is very important, just to say that education is really important. Don't let gangsterism and all of those drugs and stuff just put you on the way. Yes, we're poor, yes, but you need to work hard for that to get where you want to be.
Yeah, I mean,
hard work and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, the way you said, even there was a stereotype conversation that Blabba had that was quite interesting, where I think you guys answered.
Yes.
Yes. But it was like, it was quite interesting, and it's like, people's perception is that like all black people are drinking or something like that. But then my parents don't drink. They actually work, and they trying to get me to go to school so that I can that I can get better and pass that generational wealth onto the next generation.
Absolutely.
for and people don't see that. They just see the negative. And if you look in this bigger scheme of the world, I think like it's like there's so much positive and so little negative, but it's always the negative that gets highlighted. So now people like say to you guys, you saw highlighting the negative and not the positive. But it's the truth. It's the truth that's out there. So I like the movie, by the way. I like the movie very much. There was something that I wanted to talk to you about before you swap over.
Yes.
So it is for guilt and not for love. You know this what I'm talking about here.
Yes.
This conversation.
Shakespeare.
It's a beautiful. So it's for guilt and not for love.
King Lear.
Yeah, it's a beautiful. Did you write that?
That's not the King Lear speech.
This is
when he's talking to his girlfriend.
With Bugelo.
With Bugelo,
yes.
huh?
I remember this.
And he's talking about the nature of love.
And the marriage.
Yes, and why do old people stay together? It starts off by you saying, why do old people stay together? So now I'm just giving you the clue now so that you can...
It is for guilt and not for love.
Yes. The nature of love that you I thought it was like I thought it was very Quentin Tarantino-esque. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like a simple conversation, but it's got like this layers upon layers upon layers to it. Like, and if you go back to it, I watched that conversation a few times. I was like, okay, let me watch it again. And even the way that her perception of how things is and his perception of how things is, and they're just having a normal conversation, but it's totally opposite. Like,
yes.
Did you write that?
Yes,
that script?
wrote that.
And you obviously performed it.
Yes,
What do you think about that little bit of dialogue? Did you enjoy it? I
Certainly.
think it's your best dialogue in the movie. by the way,
Certainly.
it's better than you getting beat up.
Anything. Other than getting beat
But what
up.
do you think about that interaction?
Yes. So that interaction, it's more like Malusi. He just went onto his zone. I feel like he's listening to Bugelo talking. He's listening, but he went into to himself there for a moment. You know, you get those times where
He's just talking to himself.
I think he went into and this has a background. It doesn't just start from where you see it.
Yes.
You know, because you find that in the black culture, I'm from the Eastern Cape.
Yes.
From the village, King Williamstown. That's where I grew up. A lot of people there, in terms of relationships, they do stay together for a very long time. The what you call the divorcees and all that.
Yeah.
This is something new, to the
culture.
To the culture. If you look back,
Yeah.
if you look way back, you'll find that my parents, my grandparents, they were still married to each other. But if you ask the question, is there love? Comes a different, a different argument, comes a different perspective, and that is questionable.
It's a hard argument to have.
Because you get to ask, do you really love this person, or is it something that you do because of other
So it's like
You know.
maybe like people say like you learn to, you know what I mean? You've been with this person for so long. It's like the love has grown and stuff like that.
You guilty
But I also what you're saying is like, is certain people out there where they really can't fucking stand each other, but because they have this family, they're just sticking it out and
Because you know this person's problems. You've been with this person for so long. You just can't
Start
divorce because you know it is now guilt. You're not there because it's all glamour, because you guys are happy. You're there now because of where you've come
But it's
from.
interesting that came from you as a male's perspective. The female's perspective was something totally different.
Totally different.
Because after she said, she ruined her body to give you kids. Now you were just gonna like leave her and stuff like that. It's quite a hard conversation because I mean she's right. Like she gave you she gave you 3 like whatever kids, and now you're just gonna up and leave, and that's maybe not a right thing to do. But
then you ask yourself, is it guilt or love? Is it because you gave her kids, or is it because you love her? You check, yeah.
I think the fact that alone that a woman can do that she does so much for you, like sometimes we overlook this. I think it happens a lot, and a lot in men don't see the bigger picture, and she's just trying to show this guy the bigger picture. And yeah, there is a bigger picture, bruh. There is a bigger picture. The importance of having a family and a closely knit group she's touching on is value to that. Like a kid that grows up with a father, according to stats wise, a kid that grew up with a father in the house is often a lot better off with a kid without a father in the house. Am I correct by saying this?
Yes.
Statistically
speaking.
Speaking. So it's really, there is some importance in keeping the family unit together. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Because ultimately that's going to make a better society, better people out there, better conducting themselves, going to school. And I mean, sometimes kids need a fucking not a eat, but they need a father figure to be there, man. And that is also lacking in our
community.
Actually, in the communities, like if there's a lack of a father, a lot of times the uncles like step in and stuff like that. But now the fathers are spotting and the uncles are spotting. Like who's there to raise this kid? Anyway, it was an interesting conversation that I thought happened there, especially from a young man's perspective.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, you performed well there. Sterling performance, my man. I enjoyed that very much. It did a chord with me. Yeah, you can swap over with Mario. I'll get our Mario in here.
Jama.
The way the script was constructed, like I know you never probably saw that it's gonna go this way, but there's just like gold nuggets I mentioned to Nantel in it. That's just like, yeah, that hit me hard. Like, yeah, I mean, wow, job well done. Like,
thank you.
Sorry, go over it.
The stereotype conversation.
Yes.
That goes down. Did you construct that one as well?
Yes,
back and
absolutely.
forth, like.
Yes, yeah.
Mario, stereotypes, my brother. Huh? You a young man that's working in theater. Am I right?
Yes.
That is you breaking a stereotype there, am I right?
Yeah.
You're a young black man working in dinges. How does it feel? You can come a bit closer there to the mic. They mentioned that you were in the movie, but they mentioned to me, I heard that you help train kids now. Tell me a bit about that, man.
Yeah, now I facilitate.
Come a bit closer to the mic.
Okay. Now I facilitate like young, unprivileged school that like kids don't even know theater. They don't go to theater. Like they only like watch movies and all that stuff. So we bring like theater to them. So that's what like I really do, and like kids theater.
Where did you grow up?
In Capricorn and Eastern Cape, like both places.
Okay, cool. So you come from generally from communities that there's not a lot of theater in.
Yeah, like,
That's what I'm trying to establish. That's what I'm trying to say earlier on. It's like maybe you're not the stereotype. Like you don't normally see a young black man that came from Capricorn working in a theater, but you taking this and you're putting it back into the communities. I see there's great value in this. Like, how's the kids? Are they receptive to drama classes?
yeah, the kids, like, they get very excited, like, when I get there, because it's like I use like a different approach to what the teachers usually do, because their teachers like tell them what to do, like do this, do that, don't go. So when I come there, like, it's like I tell them like, okay, we're all friends here. Let's just sit in a circle, and I also sit so that I get to be on their level. So yeah, so they like we can talk and have a conversation. So like there's always that one kid that always like making troubles in the class, and then you get to talk to them, and then you get to like, if you give them like duties to do, like, okay, you are the director now of this play, oh, now you do this and do that and do that, make sure everyone is quiet, and then you get them like, they're so excited now, their level of like, they don't now cause like problems in the class, because now they have something to do. Like every time they go to the class, they excited, like, everyone come back.
That's no, but they reacting to something. Like sometimes it's difficult. I remember as a kid, being educated, and I didn't want to sit there all the time, and like I found boring in that. But when they put me in the art class, that's when I came alive. I was like, this is my shit. But every other subject, I was like, anyway. So that's what I'm getting from what's happening in the schools. Sometimes it's a bit hard for the kids to learn like the traditional sense, and maybe this is something that we're speaking to earlier. Like it's not always easy to learn in the traditional sense. What is other methods of educating a youth? Other ways of getting entrepreneurship into them? Is it through the arts, through drama, through I don't know, through doing a podcast, some other creative method, man, you know what I mean? And what you're saying is interesting, because like these kids like react so much to what you're doing, and you bringing that to them, and out of like maybe those 20 kids, one kid is maybe gonna follow your footsteps and make you proud one day.
Yeah, maybe one. But like the aim of what we're doing is not really to make them like Hollywood actors or anything.
Yeah.
It's just like building up confidence and all that, so that the kids can, like, I get like teachers that come up to me and like, oh, this one didn't even want to stand in front of the class and do an oral. Now, like, he's all there. So I'm like, okay, that's
so
what
building
do,
like skills development, like basically speaking in front of a crowd,
speaking in front of the crowd, and like know that your opinions are valued. Know that like, even if, cause in class, like there's like a rule that like some kids don't even talk in class. There are kids that just sit at the back and not even talk. So when you go to a drama club, everyone has to talk. So when that kid get in class now, he is all like confident and talking.
It's like they come out of their shell, like after the drama class.
Yeah, because like everyone has to be out there in the drama club. You can't have someone that's sitting there. Because in a normal classroom, like you can have that kid sitting there for the whole year, no one cares. He doesn't talk, it's his fault. No one cares.
But it's good, like you have to like go outside. Sometimes it's good to go outside your comfort zone. So that's the way you learn and grow as a person. You know what I mean? Otherwise you become like an introvert, always sitting at the back of the class. You go through this your whole life and you maybe don't learn. That's interesting, the skills development. It's always interesting how like you can learn something. You can learn something from everything. Like I do so. My wife said I do too many hobbies. I do jiu-jitsu. But again, I love it. I love it to bits. Like, but I'm somehow learning like other things from jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Learning confidence in other ways from that. So I understand what you're saying when you say like these kids are learning other skill development through drama and acting and stuff like that. I guess that is, it's a good way of learning. Nantel, you wanted to say something earlier?
Let's just, before I do it, can I just...
You got some questions?
And then just acknowledge the viewers.
Oh.
Can you just read that out for us?
Which one?
Anyone?
The topic of guilt or love is a conversation we need to have as a nation. Shout out to my sister.
Is that your sister?
Yeah.
The love and guilt. Why is she so familiar with that topic?
Oh.
Yeah, you don't want to talk about it now.
The book of guilt and love. Yes, it's true.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation like that. That's why I said there's gold nuggets in that movie that just like whew, this. Like I guess like the first time I watched the movie, I was telling you guys I watched the movie 3 times now. So the first time I watched the movie, it just popped up. It came out and it was like the first day or the first few hours, and I was just like I watched it, but I wasn't like watching it. You know when you watch Netflix, but you're not watching Netflix. You must have experienced that. We all do that. You watch Netflix, but you're not really watching it. It's like playing there. So the movie was like that. But Devil got me. He's a good actor. I think he's good.
Brilliant.
It's Keegan, yes.
Keegan.
Yes, very, very good.
Brilliant actor.
And interesting, like there are certain of the actors in the cast who played into their character, into how they are, and there's certain who played completely opposite to how they are. And if you had Keegan here, you'd see he's completely opposite of what that character is. Completely the opposite.
Yes.
Yes.
Devil, like even the name, like in a way, like did things with his eyes certain times. It's like he didn't have to say that. He didn't have to have a lot of dialogue to get his point across. Like,
yes.
I felt that he was brilliant in that role.
Even Amy, man. Amy, the Asian one. She was truly brilliant too.
Completely the opposite of what she's is in
Opposite
real
that,
life.
she's totally not.
Like Chelsea was another one who's completely the opposite of what she is in real life. And then like Mario is
Mario is Mario.
He's a player.
he's like that. Jama was very not the same but close, right?
Close.
Not the same but close. Yeah. So it's interesting the mechanism of
Plus he got the colored girlfriend as well. Hey! But the hardest part of this movie for me is how you ended. I cried a bit this morning actually for the ending. It just hit hard because like the reason why it hit hard is because it wasn't the movie. It was the movie, but like as like the way you showed Simone,
yes,
was like always like blurry.
Yeah.
She was like faded or something like that. So like people understood fairly from early on what was going on.
Yes,
but only when the teachers conveying it to all of you guys in the class, and then he doesn't say words. Obviously, you made the movie, you should know this. So he doesn't say any words, but it just shows like their faces, like their reaction, and that hit hard. Like so, as that happened, like what was going on in my head was like all the faces of so many like girls that you've seen, like you know what I mean. The list is, I can think 10 flash through my head, like just because I'm seeing their photos so much on the news, in newspapers, in the memory, and it's like terrible that there should be so much like. But yeah, that hit me hard because it's like these girls like faces like were flashing in my head like as this ending was playing out, and it's just like it was awkward. That was this morning, and then I realized why I couldn't finish the movie the first time. I realized that sometimes the reason why I never finished I never saw the ending. I think I got up until the principal. They tell the principal.
yes,
So I never watched that last bitchy.
yes.
But then when I watched that, it was like, I understand why I couldn't even watch the principal go to the classroom the first time, because it was too awkward for me.
Yes.
I didn't want to know that is happening in the world today. So I turned it off, like, and I think about that, and it's like, I think we do that a lot, or South Africans do that a lot. It's like we turn our eyes away from it. Like it's like, nah, if you don't look at it, don't see it. It doesn't exist. It's not there. We don't talk much about gender-based violence. We should talk about it like constantly. Yo, it's still happening. Just because it's not like in the news 24/7 doesn't mean it's not there. Like, what do you think about the gender-based violence commentary, Babawa?
Oh gosh, wow. Even now recently there's a girl that was killed by her boyfriend, Dokozo.
Yeah.
I was like,
in Cape Town or?
It's in, is it Joburg?
It's all over South Africa.
But wow, it's just too much. And for me, but it feels like it's like this for every girl. Am I next? You always have that question, will I be next? Is this going to happen to me? Even for now, I have an example. 2 days ago, I was getting ready. I was going somewhere just into town just to do stuff. Now, I had my clothes all day, trying to pick out which outfit to go. Shall I choose a short thing? Shall I choose a long thing to cover myself? Because I know once I get a short thing, then I go out. I only wear short stuff when I'm driving. Otherwise, if I go the taxi, I'm covering everything. Because once you just get out, you get all these stupid men saying stupid stuff. And then when you don't actually respond, they trash you. So you never know. You might be next in a taxi or anyway. So now, the most important thing that I urge the ladies to always carry is a pepper spray, and you should learn how to fight. Otherwise, I'll die trying. Otherwise, this GBV, it's just too much.
It's sad, man. It's sad.
It's just too much.
I think one thing that happens, like, and I actually saw this, like, so that calling out for the women, that like,
it's worse in Joburg, actually.
So I don't know if it was more prevalent in certain communities, but I saw it happen at the beach now over the festive season. So this guy, the law enforcement guy, there's two girls is like walking past, like, and she's got like a bather on, but then like a thin thing covering, what they call it, a sarong, whatever you call that thing.
Sure.
So she's got that covering it, and then he says something to her like, so I'm riding in the car past this, and he's like standing in the center of the island. So he says this like something. Sorry, tell me to be rude. He says something in Xhosa, and then she says like almost like she doesn't react the first time. She just walks on, and then he says something the second time, and then she says like I know that. You know, that is like a this now.
Yeah.
yeah. That is like, yeah. She goes like that, and then he's like, whoa, and then he's like unleashing his fury now, like, because the first time he was like joking, but the second, when he was talking, I don't understand Xhosa, and the second time he said something that was like, yo, like sika F you, and then I was like, ooh, fuck, like I don't know what has been said, but do I say, bruh, don't speak to a woman like that, I can't really, because, but anyway, the point is like, men should stand up to that. Like, so if that was a colored man and he had to say, hey girl, come and chase you, and I to understand what you're saying, I should have said that at that moment, bruh, don't speak like that to a woman. It's not right to speak like that to a woman, whatever. And the fact that you got a uniform on and the law enforcement dude is not cool. Because that only is the only way to stop. Like what I feel is gonna continue to go on. It's like this. Yeah, it starts from the small stuff, like the commenting. Then, because if we allow people to comment, if you allow your friend to comment like that, then the friend can do whatever else. So we have to stop it like that. It's a conversation that I continuously have, but I also fall victim to sometimes, because like, not sometimes, I have fallen victim to in my younger years, because I maybe didn't treat a woman with how I should have. I could have conducted myself better, but I would like to take that as a learning, and I would hope that like these women would forgive me for what I done or the way I conducted myself. But I would like that to learn from that, and if men do mess up, they should be able to be re-educated, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yes. What do you think, Riaz? It's a hard topic.
Again, when you ask me these questions, like there's a lot to be said. Again, it comes down to like the culture. When a small percentage of people are doing a thing, you go, that's wrong and that's illegal, or you shouldn't be doing that. But when the percentage grows to be like I've had this discussion with college students, possibly with your class, I think, but definitely in subsequent classes, because I have subsequently made a film where that is a key topic. That will come later. But the young people who are taking public transport, the women coming into city varsity, they would not be able to get from the station to the campus without being harassed maybe like 10, 15, 20 times. Like that was a given. That means it's not a rare occurrence.
Where's city varsity?
It's in Cape Town. In Cape Town.
In town.
Oh, in town.
Yes,
okay.
yeah. At that point, it was in Roland Street. It's still in Roland Street now. So
Okay,
it's
so
like
from Cape Town station to
Roland Street.
Roland Street.
It's not very far. It's like a 12-minute walk, maybe 12, 15-minute walk. So, and the moment I addressed the topic, every female student said, "Oh, yes, we know about it." Like every morning, and then they would go, even this morning, coming to this class now, and then there would be a big discussion about about not feeling safe walking from the terminus to the college. So then it's not just instances, that's a culture that has developed. So now we come back to the message.
a culture around chirping, whatever you wanna, whatever it is.
What is appropriate? And it comes back again now. We're looking at the classroom situation. It's the same thing about in education. What is appropriate and what's acceptable experience for young people to have? It's just another element of that. To go back to what we were talking about earlier, is it appropriate for a young person to in a classroom, a child that's developing and going to be an adult that's supposed to contribute towards society, to be exposed to the fact that their classmate can be murdered in a field? Is it appropriate? It's not appropriate for that age. Now, until we say this is not appropriate and we take measures and we shift out of that culture, because, there are too many excuses about why we're in this situation and not enough proactivity as to how do we get out of it. Because there are countries poorer than South Africa, less advantaged than South Africa, less mineral resources, landlocked, undergoing sanctions, the whole thing. You can find them, if you know a little bit of history and geography, whose young people have much better experiences growing up. That's because they've created a culture in those countries and they have an idea of what a young person should experience or what any citizen in that country should experience. And they've worked towards creating that positive experience. So again, like it's one thing to say you must call out those people, but as a male walking in the street like myself, I'm not in the habit of catcalling anybody. I don't actually see it. It's very rare for me to see it.
I've only seen it at one time, so it's
so we don't see it. So like I'm quite shocked because I also walk from the terminus to city varsity. I'm kind of focused and I walk and I don't see it. Often maybe it's not in my language, or sometimes it's a very subtle thing as you're walking past somebody.
Yeah.
So if you're not close enough, you're not going to hear it. You're not going to experience it. And also, sometimes it's an exchange of looks, like somebody staring at you. So I wouldn't know that this guy behind me is staring at somebody else, or this guy is staring, because I'm not in that interaction. But I was shocked. I mean, I don't get shocked a lot, but after engaging with 3 classes in a row about what's going on, I was shocked to hear that this is a daily occurrence. Like,
yeah, it's like something that happened to me. I got held at gunpoint twice within my road. So now, and the last time I was on my bike, and they took my bike off me, my scooter bike. So now, whenever I'm on my bike and somebody will like approach me, I go into the state of shock, into the state of fear. And I can only imagine the terror that a woman must go through when she's walking in the road and this guy's like eyeballing her. Because me myself, when I get like tense, I'm like, oh shit, what's gonna happen to me now? And I can sort of handle myself, but not with a gun, but I can sort of handle myself. But how does a woman feel when that dude's eyes is locking on her, like you say, even like just that, not even words. That feeling must be terrifying, like. And it's interesting that you say like it's a cultural thing, because you don't see white men doing that.
I'm not saying cultural. I'm saying it's a culture of doing that.
Oh, a culture.
So it's not cultural. Like cultural, like I attach that word separately.
Very separately. Okay, I know what you're saying.
So in other words,
The
a culture can be created,
and it can, yeah.
and then it becomes the norm.
Okay.
And so that's what I mean by that.
It's different.
yes.
It's cultural and culture is different. I understand what you're saying.
Well,
Can
I
I
make
just-
that
can I
distinction.
just-
No, there is a distinction.
Can I just mention something that you're mentioning now about the culture? There's one thing that I want to give you your flowers is the fact that you have a lot of empathy, and that comes through your work. Like nobody has ever touched on the fact that when a say for me, in my instance, when a parent sends a kid to a Model C school or a private school, the kid is actually alienated by when he comes back home. I worked with a lady. She works still works at Good Hope. She's from Stramata, and she said she never had a sense of community, because when she goes back home, her accent would offend the people there, and nobody's ever touched on that. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to give you flowers for that. That's really a brilliant assessment of it, and that's not just a color thing. That's like the movie shows. It's in black as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Another thing I want to just elaborate is the schooling system and how the teacher quit.
Yes.
I was supposed to go to my sister, my wife's sister, my wife's cousin. She left actually the profession. She left for Dubai.
Yes.
And my sister as well. She also left, but she came back. Whatever. So it's a hell of a system, because while the ruling party is suckling with the problem, you losing a lot of good talent.
Absolutely.
And teachers, I don't know. I probably don't have to explain to you guys how important teachers is in society, man. And actually, with that being said, I just want to actually invite you maybe for an in-depth conversation about that on Fagan Muller's show, because he touched on teaching as well. I think that will be a brilliant conversation with the two of you guys.
Yes, I'd be happy to do that. I just for some information, like I don't want to say too much about it, but the members of the teacher training part of CPUT have been in contact with me about seeing if there's some sort of collaboration with teacher training. But then on Wednesday last week, I was actually invited to a conference of the Western Cape Education Department, where they also are choosing to engage with the issues in the film and see if there's a way. So,
Nice one, man. So you're making an impact.
I mean, one doesn't. For me, that is probably just on a very personal level, probably the best thing that could have happened. I mean, I'm two things make me very, very happy that I endeavored to put my energy into this film. And the one is that the young people who worked with me on the film are getting recognized now. That's the one thing. That was always my objective, that I wanted to show this talent that I see in front of me all the time. And I wanted that beyond that. The second objective is it possible for the film to create a debate and possibly create change in the landscape of our education now? And it's beyond my expectation, because a lot of people look at these organizations very negatively. People look at the education departments and they go like, yeah, it's education department's fault, pointing fingers, not realizing that this is a group of people who are working very hard to keep things in play with circumstances that are quite difficult, And so I'm very reluctant to point a finger and say that's your fault and you should do better and you should do it. And a lot of people who seen the movie were saying, oh, you must be careful, the education department is going to take offense at being critiqued like this, and you get in trouble with government and this and that, and like a lot of theories around what was going to happen. And all I encountered were people at that conference that were 100% for improving the system. Like 100%. They were all there and they were all working very hard and engaging very hard on how to do this. And I was nervous going in there because I feel like the film could be received as a criticism of their daily work. But nobody took it like that. Nobody took it like that. They took it like, let's look at this film as a document and let's take it apart and see what, if there's a mechanism put in place where we can improve in these things, if this is the reality, is it the reality, and then how can we improve it? And I'm hoping that dialogue is going to continue.
That's absolutely brilliant. The fact that art is actually, it's spilling over and creating change in real life.
Yes,
that's flipping brilliant, man.
Yeah.
And then could I jump in here and just say, like, I'm not on social media, right? I don't look at the stuff, but occasionally I will hear from people what people are saying, and overwhelmingly, I'm so happy when I hear that people have enjoyed the movie. Like, it makes it really, and there's a certain amount of criticism about the representation of colored people, especially. Like, that has come across very well. Another film where colors are represented as negative.
Yeah, that's what I spoke about earlier.
You spoke about earlier, but so I'm interested in that because a person doesn't. I didn't go out trying to represent anybody in any way. I simply took pieces out of the reality that I experienced and I put it together in a film.
Sure.
I didn't have an agenda. My only thing was to say it's a proposal. The film is a proposal saying, this is what I experience when I'm at those schools. Is this okay? That's all. That's all I wanted to do. Nothing else. And so if you look at that and you go, that's not okay. Like, that shouldn't be a criticism of the movie. It should be a criticism of the experience of the people the schools that I went to and I've been in and I've seen. If that makes sense.
That makes 100% sense.
Perfect sense.
I'm starting to see what where the awesomeness comes from, where some of the awesomeness comes from in this movie. It's from you.
It's a group effort. Like, everybody.
More so your lack of ego. Because I just said something and your first words were, no, it's everybody. I said, you did something and I think that because you don't have a big ego, you lack this inflated ego, you are allowing the creative process to flow. So a lot of times in big networks or big movies and stuff like that, you get those people that let the people say what they want. You know what I mean? That you always get this on series, I believe. And the networks try to let him say things or don't say things. What's his name? Dave Chappelle is supposed to say this. He can't say that.
If he doesn't, yeah.
But I feel that you sort of allowed the creative. What I'm taking from this conversation and from the movies, that you allowed the creative process to flow. And however that was going to flow and speak and dictate, and the conversation was going to be had, it's just what it is. You're not going to stop it like, oh no, I need to get on Netflix, so we can't say Mahasa P or anything like that. So I think there's value in that, because people make art sometimes for Netflix. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You never made art for Netflix. No. You made art for art.
Yes.
And that's how you got on Netflix.
Yes.
So that is so those haters that maybe like, no, they don't deserve to be there. We deserve to be there. But bro, did you create art or did you create something for you know what I mean? Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. Just this conversation has made me realize like that lack of ego that you have. And even the way you guys came in here, nobody had ego. No, there was no inflated egos. Nobody's important than the other. Nobody's like actor. I'm an actor. I'm on TV.
I'm famous now.
Yeah, I'm famous. There's no inflated egos. Everybody's cool, calm, like cool with each other, and there's where the creativity flourishes. Oh, and I love that shit, man. I love creativity.
Yes, I want to say about this class who participated with me in this film. It was amazing. Like, these young people, like, And it was special, and nobody's ever going to understand it. Unfortunately, we had a lot of behind the scenes footage, and it was all lost. It was on somebody's hard drive, and it was all lost, right? Because it was, I mean, the process of making the film was pretty intense. It was pretty intense and pretty interesting. I mean, there's lots of things behind the scenes which are interesting to know. I'll give you one example of an interesting thing. Just one example.
Yeah.
You know, there's the scene at the end where Karen's character is, what's the character's name again? Cindy.
She's the model montage.
No. Where she is swearing at the gangster through the gate at the end. You know, where she's talking to them and she stops the whole thing.
Oh,
Big Wakes is there and she's swearing there.
Yeah. You must don't come waste me.
Yes,
I remember that part.
Last week you were in
Strandfontein with the other goose. Yeah.
That was filmed. Her part of it was filmed 3 days before that scene at another gate on the other side of the school, and nobody else that was there was there.
Yeah, you can see how it cuts away differently though.
She's just talking to the wall or
Okay.
to me standing there. I think I can't remember who was there, and then that is now spliced in later to make the scene make sense. So nobody's going to think they were not together there on the same day, but at actual fact, like they were not together on the same day. So there's like interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah, they are. So
But now you can, the way it's shot, you can, because look a bit, you know what I mean? As never them all in one scene.
yes.
There's never one full scene. So
But now I'll go
now
even
that you
further than
mention
that.
it's like that makes sense.
I'll go in further than that. When we're doing the close-ups of the students in the classrooms, there's nobody else in the class. They're acting with me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It makes 100%.
Because we only had one day where everybody was in the class, and then we shot the whole film in master shot.
Otherwise, it's
And then we went and did the close-ups on different days when there was only 2 or 3 people, maybe just the person that sat behind them. And they're actually acting with me. And then when the teachers are teaching in front, there's no students that they're teaching.
you just shooting the teacher.
Yeah. So because it's low budget filmmaking, we only had like 13 days to make this film. We didn't have the luxury of scheduling across all those things. We had to just find the scenes and make them. And even how everybody is positioned in the class was done that way to accommodate the schedule for who can be there when we're doing that person's close-up.
Oh, that's another one. It's almost like two sides of the classroom sometimes.
Yeah. And like there was like such a lot of interesting things that were happening like behind the scenes that made that film, that strategies that we could employ that make the film more than what we had. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a special production. Like you guys must have had some fun. Like.
It was very special. It was very hard work.
And when we like it's so rare for like a low budget film to have done what is done. You know what I mean? This is the likeness behind that. Like I love the David and Goliath story. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah,
it's always the underdog, like the underdog story. Whenever the underdog, I watch UFC. I love UFC. Chelsea's husband is a EFC fighter, Luke Michael.
champ.
So, yeah, he's a champ. Yeah. So I enjoy watching him and stuff like that. But I like when the underdog comes back or something like that. Or the underdog knocks out the favorite or something like that. That's always like a lekker thing. And you guys were the underdog and you did it, man. You made a brilliant movie. So a lot of you guys are doing a lot of the other things now. What are you doing now? Are you still teaching or?
I do a combination of different things. I still freelance in the film industry a little bit.
There's a lot of films happening in Cape Town.
There are, and it's possible to participate in big international productions if you're lucky enough to do that. And on occasion, I do participate on a very small scale. I don't.
Babawa, you find any work in the films or ads or anything like it? Mario, you working in film or ads or anything like that?
Nah, like right now I'm doing
just theater.
I'm doing just theater, and then I did like a GBV thingy, like more like presenting and like telling people how to communicate. Like,
where did you go to schools or something like that? the GBV thing. Where was it? What was it?
The GBV thingy. I went to workshops in Muizenberg.
Okay.
And then we kind of like, since I was an actor, so we kind of like shooting online an online,
Oh, like an online show.
yeah, so that I kind of present like how like you need to communicate your issues instead of like showing them in violence and all that stuff. Like, yeah, so
That's quite interesting. Is that through the government?
no, it's an NGO. It's an NGO because
That's
I
quite interesting. That should be, the government should be implementing these type of things. But anyway, that's an interesting thing. So it's like how to speak about your problems instead of getting physical or getting rape, like violent or whatever, stuff like that. Tell us more about this thing. So what do you do? What should they do? How do you communicate to your problems?
like I don't really do like much because there's people who are trained actually to do
Like trained psychologists,
to talk to people about that. So me, I'm just like presenting that stuff, and I'm also like learning like how to conduct myself around like women. If I'm angry, like how I must conduct myself, how I must speak my frustrations out instead of like fighting and all that stuff.
It's quite interesting. So I work in a company, and I'm the only man, and there's like 12 women around me. Like, so you laugh. So like the weirdness of it is like that you can't just speak like you can't just speak like you want to. You have to sort of be like, men can speak. I can speak to you like this, and it's fine if I speak to you like this. You know what I mean? Like, but if you can't speak to 12 women, like, you know what I mean? You got to conduct yourself in a certain way. So I'm learning that way how to conduct yourself, like just through like practical. Well, I always knew it, but sometimes you feel that you can. I don't know, not feel, but sometimes you're just a bit rough around the edges, and that's not really how you should conduct yourself. But I mean, we learning, coming from generations that's like, your generation was totally different to my generation. You know what I mean? Growing up and how the men treated women in that generation is really how we getting educated more and more. And I mean, your movies even educating us. Yeah. I see that you got rest in peace, Kieran Forbes, up on the screen. So, AKA, also known as Kieran Forbes, also known as AKA's past. And it's a sad one because he's a brilliant artist, but there was also criticism around his involvement in his girlfriend's passing. So she committed suicide. She jumped off a building in Cape Town, and then I don't think the family were too happy about his whole involvement in this. He was there at the time of the suicide. So the family was obviously not happy with that, and it's like, was he emotionally abusing her to a point where she had to take her own life? Or was she just a troubled individual? The family might believe that he's more towards the emotional abusing side by cheating, doing drugs, etc. But we don't know the truth.
Yeah, but this goes back to what you said earlier on about the GBV.
Yes.
Do we celebrate him? Do we mourn him, or are we going to focus on what happened? Because it's I think it's been proven yet.
Yeah.
So we can't really say that this is going to be a stain on his career or his legacy. It's a difficult one.
It is quite a tough one, especially because we don't know what really happened within their relationship. We don't know what was going down there, and there's a lot of speculation around drug usage. Like, they were using drugs together, and then did the toxicness of that relationship boil over to her taking her life? You know what I mean? Like, there was like scenes or images of him like smashing a door to get to her, etc. So now the question comes like, that's him smashing the door to get to his girlfriend that took her life.
But one thing we can
So-
say, we don't know what happened there, okay?
Yeah.
But one thing we can say, and one thing we can celebrate is the fact that he was probably the biggest commercial hip hop artist.
I don't know if we're celebrating that though. Let's hold that punch.
No, I'm gonna celebrate it regardless. You can't take the art away from him, man. And the artist, once like this movie, you put the art,
Yeah, but
the
before-
art out there. What it does. I can separate the man from. But like I say, that thing was happened a year ago. I don't know. I'm just gonna celebrate his music and what is achieved.
So I don't know if the right word is celebrate. Like that is what I'm saying. Maybe we can respect.
Okay, let's.
You know what I mean?
that word, yeah.
Celebrate is like yay. Respect is like okay, you did a good job. You know what I mean? So that's maybe I'm going on the word usage there, but the fact is like that he did these things, and now I go back to the question that I asked earlier, like, can a man come back from this? For instance, he was in a toxic relationship, right? A lot of toxic things happened. She took her life. After that fact, he's like, damn, fuck, I can't go on living this way. I repent. I'm finished with all that stuff. I want a better life for myself. I'm never going to treat a woman again like that. I'm going to talk out about the way you talk about this. Is it possible that he can be forgiven for that? I'm asking you, Riaz.
This is always going to depend on a person's deep intrinsic belief system, right? If you have a certain spirituality and a certain faith, most of the faiths that are shared in our nation now,
Yes.
that I think all of us in this room participate in, place a huge amount of emphasis on mercy and forgiveness and the ability of people to change. And so I can't doubt that, but I'm never going to know if that person actually did change or is just saying that they changed or showing that they changed for the purpose of their perhaps celebrity or the purpose of their reputation. So I will never be able to judge something like that, but I will always allow the possibility for somebody to change right up until the end. Like I'm never going to, in my mind, make an assessment or an assumption that a person doesn't have the ability to change for the better.
Babawa, what do you think about again the situation?
Fan.
Oh, Lord. Number one, I'm a Christian. I pray a lot. That's just me. I forgive people that don't deserve to be forgiven. For AKA, whatever happened between him and Anele, it happened between both of them, right? And whatever people said happened, like I said, it's between both of them. I don't follow celebrity stuff. Yeah, I like him. I like his music. But the one thing that hurts the most is death. And then when it comes to forgiving people for what they've done, on my side, I forgive people, and then it's up to them and God. He will deal with his demons with God, and that's up to them. I don't have a right to judge them and say, this person did this and this person did that. That's up to them and God. But now, the only thing, like I said, that actually hit me the most is the death, how he was killed. Because that's sad.
That's sad, yeah. He was
the first
murdered.
thing I thought about was his child.
Yeah, he was
Like,
murdered.
And his girlfriend Nadia and all of that. But the first person I thought about was Cairo. Because imagine, she's sleeping, she doesn't know what's happening, and people are just taking photos. Okay, AK is dead, and they just posted that on Twitter, like after he was shot, and people are posting that. And just think about it, you're at home, and then you just see on social media that your husband, your loved one, is just dead, just like that. That's disrespect. Yes, we might not have respected him. Some people don't respect him. That's fine because of whatever issues, but I won't judge him on that. That's his thing. But like I said, GBV, that's something that I do not like, and I do not stand with. But hey,
Mario, do you listen to AK?
Yeah, a lot. But touching on this, I don't think like we can really go to AKA and be like, AKA did this to the girlfriend, or it was never proven. Like, we can go to people like R. Kelly. R. Kelly is a convicted criminal.
There's levels to this, like you say.
AKA is never proven. His crimes are never proven. It's just conspiracy. So, like, we can't really judge him on that.
Chelsea, do you want to hop in here? Or Chelsea or Amandla, or any one of you, I want to hear your take on AKA. If you have a take on AKA, you say that he can't be judged. Like, you were saying he can't be judged on.
I'm not really saying he can't be judged or anything, but
if not proven guilty,
he was not proven that it's him.
Yeah.
Who made her commit suicide. That was not. It's not a proven thing. We don't know if she was troubled or it was him.
Yeah.
So. We can't really
prosecute that man.
Yeah, so like we can't. And then like I know like GBV thingy, I'm gonna sound like I'm trying to protect him since I'm a guy also. But I'm not really trying to protect him, but it's always like this. Like, it has to be proven first before we can all say, yeah, he did it. Because there are guys who actually went to court and then they came out clean, and then we find out that the woman was lying.
Yeah.
So like, we really have to wait and not like shoot the guy as soon as the guy was here that he done something. We're like, yeah, GBV and all that. We need to like,
that's
see.
Are you speaking about sort of cancel culture as well, where men get cancelled for things and they lose their stake, even though they're not proven guilty, or even though they're not guilty, they can still lose their jobs. So for instance, like a woman says like, oh, this guy sexually harassed me. He loses his job and he doesn't ever get it back, and he's still and he actually never sexually harassed her. Is that instances?
I listen, like what gave me like a different perspective about this GBV thingy, because I listened like to the podcast about like it was Toles Mo. And Toles Mo was like
Mac G.
And Mac G, like he didn't do the thing, and then the lady said he did. And then he went to court, and then all of his gigs, his things, like he had to be broke for all those court years. And then they found out like he didn't do anything. And then this lady comes and say maybe it was like a night thingy visiting her, or because Toles Mo was not there. It's proven now, like that lady wasted the like, what do you call the resources, the government resources,
all the money, courts monies and stuff.
You see, so like, that's like, so now I'm like, you have to just wait and not be like, GBV, you have to wait and see. Situations are different.
Chelsea,
you never know.
I see you. You can't wait to speak there. You can't wait to speak about this topic.
I think I want to be a little bit careful with what I say. I think I just want to start by saying that I don't know AKA very well, actually. Like, I know his music, but I don't know anything about these scandals and stuff, because I'm not that into like celebrity news. But I am married to someone that is in the public eye, and I think that people do jump on things very quickly. And I do agree with what Pabawa said as well, coming from a place of being a Christian, that we can't just judge things without knowing the full context of the story, and that is between him and God. But I will say, as a feminist, that we're always going to believe that the woman is not lying first, right? Before suggesting that the woman is lying.
I like that. I like that you're bringing up this, and you being very specific according to a topic, which is good.
Yes, we can't afford to say otherwise, especially in the climate that we live. I think in this film, a big character that stood out for me was Karen regarding this topic. Her name was Cindy in the film. She was like, I'm not letting like people come and beat each other up over me. Like, I'm not an object. I'm not anyone's property. People deciding someone else must die now because of who, that topic stood out for me a lot. But, I followed the movements, men are trash and this and that. I think that what South Africa is lacking is that we need to look at I'm not defending men's bad behavior whatsoever, because I know I'll also get a lot of backlash from women on what I'm about to say, not excusing it. But I think that our focus, as much as it should be on the victims, the women and the children that are very clear statistically victims of this mostly, I'm not saying men aren't, is why men are behaving this way. We need to be providing boys more help from young ages. You mentioned earlier about boys growing up without a father in the home versus, boys that grow up with a father. There needs to be more programs where there are those big brother programs and having more guidance on our men, because why do our men feel like they can catcall? Why do our men feel like women are objects? Why are they raised with that mindset? Why is there such a rape culture? Like, why is that happening? And I think that's not about a woman needing to wear a longer skirt. Like, no, screw that. Like, we can wear what we want to wear and feel great wearing it. It's about the men need to control. That is not their property. That woman walking down the street they're not wearing that skirt for you, brother. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand 100%.
And I also think that this happens across. I understand, again, statistics in townships and Cape Flats and different environments, there is obviously a vastly different, like, in statistics of who this is happening to and how many women it's happening to. But it's happening in white homes. Domestic violence across the board. It is scary to be a woman. It is scary to be a woman, because it can be in your own family, it can be in your workplace, it can be in your place of education. It's wonderful to be a woman, but it's scary to be a woman. And why? Because we're scared of men, and no, that needs to change, and that can only be changed by men.
Yeah, I 100% agree with what you're saying. You said let's go back to what you started off with. You said that it's most likely for a woman that she's not believed first, then to get believed. Can you just say that, what you said?
No, I'm saying that we should believe her first before saying she's lying, or she's looking for a payout.
So your first
thing should be that happened to her.
Okay.
That did. She's telling the truth.
But that's difficult to say because
it most of the time is what's happening.
Okay, 99% of the time it could be that you're right. 99.9% of the time it also could be that you're right. But like, picture that 1% that it's like me, and I have kids. I got 3 kids and a wife, and this woman decides to destroy my life. And this is the 1%. This is the one, and she's gonna say that this happened, and everybody's gonna believe it because you're saying at first they must believe. Even my wife, even my kids. Like that's.
But you know what you need to look at then as a man is like, why do people see men like that? Why do they believe that first, that the men did it and the female didn't do it? That's what I'm going back to. I'm not hating on men whatsoever. That's not in my belief system. I love my husband very much. I love Riaz very much. I love Amandla very much. It's not about hating on men. It's about you guys as men. You're not sitting back and be like, we always, we the victim. You're not the victim. You're not the victim in the situation. Yeah. You need to go and help other men that are behaving badly to stop behaving badly.
I think
100%.
I think when we spoke about this on the podcast a few times already, the hashtag men are trash. Whoever came up with it, she came up with it for a reason. Men supposed to feel guilty. It's like, no, but men aren't trash. No, but they want you to feel angry, because once you're angry, then you'll do something about it. You'll call out the next man.
The other man that is behaving like trash because you're not trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fully loaded movement, and I'd rather not get into it because I have mixed opinions on that. But I get what you're saying. It's true.
You know what I'm saying? But here's the kicker though. In the court of law, it says you're innocent until proven guilty. So, but I get what you're saying. I really do get what you're saying. But yeah, from a male's point of view,
teach your sons better.
I'm definitely.
Yeah, I think that your point there was like, we keep looking like, no, it's not me. But now it's like almost like the easy way out. But instead of saying, okay, what got me to this point? what made it happen? What made it possible for this thing to happen to me? Instead of like, no, it's not me, it's that, but somebody else. Like,
I think
take
if you-
accountability or something.
And
like
that's
that.
why I
don't know.
go back to, like, we're not saying this doesn't happen to men, like bad things. They do. It does happen to boys and it does happen to men. But just unfortunately, I know people get irritated with me a lot about the statistics thing. But if you stand in a room of women and you ask, how many of you have ever felt threatened by a man? How many of you have been assaulted by a
Everyone.
man? Everyone's hand's gonna go up.
Amandla, it's a hard topic here, bro. I see you sweating already. You sweating before I even come ask you the question. You're like, oh shit, why did he get me back in here? I'm then Mr. Player. joking, Nati. It's a hard topic, bro. Okay, are you familiar with his music?
Yeah, most definitely. I do follow AK from his come up to the recent years, man. AK, I love his art, I love his music. A fan, definitely. A fan.
Does what he done in his personal life affect you? Do you think that does it affect you in any way? Do you not want to listen to him? Want to listen to him more? Anything like that?
So with that, when it comes to me as like how I view things, it's definitely it's something that is against like my way of seeing things. It's against my religion, my culture. I do not support his actions. But I will again say that until he's proven by a court of law, then I can judge.
Okay.
Not until then. Until then, it's theories, and we cannot really we're not in that relationship. We don't understand what we cannot say. The woman threw herself, jumped on the building because of AK. We don't know, guys. Like you know.
It's damaging
Yeah,
to make
yeah.
accusations because, man,
Yeah.
we all know relationships are complicated.
Yeah,
We
and
all know that.
and I'm very careful when it comes to like speculating things where I have no solid evidence, because I've seen this. Like something would happen when you're involved, like right next to you. Something happens, maybe an accident, and then you hear about it somewhere else. People who were not there speaking about it, and you hear things they say about the things that you actually saw, and you get like, I didn't know this happened. I was there, but
What do we call it? The old
what are
broken
they talking
telephone,
about?
like.
What are they talking about? So when it comes to that, I would say obviously if this is something that he had done, definitely I do not support that. But right now I would say I do respect AK, and I will celebrate his life for the music that he's put out there, for what he's done for the culture of hip hop. He's created a lot of opportunities for Cape Townians, for the colored nation. A lot of people believe, a lot of people had an opportunity to come into the industry from Cape Town. I do support him for that, 100%.
No. Yeah, he's an interesting cat, and like we can talk like this, but like we don't know. We don't know, like you're saying, like until the court of law, we don't know what really happened. We do know though that Bill Cosby was a bad guy, and like there seems to be like a scale to, I've spoken about this before, almost like a scale to the cancel culture, even gender GBV or something like that. So like you get like, are you guys familiar with Louis C.K.? No, you are familiar with Louis. So he also he masturbated in front of a woman, and this is like a form of sexual harassment, I believe. But masturbating in front of a woman and dragging 68 women is a lot different. It's a totally different. It's a totally different thing to do. But yet, cancel culture paints everybody with the same cloth. Now, I don't know what the answer is. I just bring up these circumstances. I just bring up these issues because I want to raise awareness or bring out these topics to light. What people comment about it or what I think about it at that time can change. Like at this time, aka a lot of us said like until proven guilty, he's a good guy. But there is also other people that believe that there was toxic emotional stuff that went down. We saw images, and because of this, a woman took her life. So therefore, he is part of doing something negative, like almost like gender-based violence.
conversation.
It's a scale. It's almost like a scale to it. I don't know. Is he on the lightest form of the scale? You know what I mean? He did the smallest infringement, therefore he can get away with it. Where somebody else on the lower end of the scale, they did the bad infringement, so they're going to get punished. I don't know what the answer is. Your movie was awesome. It made me cry because of the last scene. It's a very powerful scene. Did you shoot it knowing it's going to be that powerful without words?
My process of making a film is always, before I even enter into writing the script, I can press play on the film and watch it all the way through in my head. And it has to keep me entertained. It has to tick all the tick boxes that I feel need to happen. And what inspired that is I encountered too many occasions in the classroom with groups of young people who I had, what's the word I'm looking for, great affection for, moments where their innocence was eroded. And I remember the looks on their faces.
So
I wanted to bring that in. I wanted to just, again, it comes back to the same thing. This erosion of the experience of young people at schools, what it should be and what it is. And I think that's, you know, I've experienced it being at a school and a student being killed or tragically lost somehow through violence, not exclusively through violence, but it's a tremendously destabilizing situation.
For the whole class?
For the whole school.
Okay.
And like you said, you hear about something like that, and then you just see a slideshow of all the pictures in the newspapers about like this, of this school kid, that school kid, this school kid, that school kid, and dying in the most horrific circumstances. And we've let it slide for too long. Like we can't allow this anymore. Like we actually can't allow it anymore. Like at some point, everybody like together has to put their foot down and go like, actually we can't. We've let so many moments like that slip by in our nation, where we should have put our foot down and gone like this. We should not allow this to happen. And every single person needs to be united in that this should not happen anymore. And you know, like, not even at such a serious level. There are less serious levels that we should have put our foot down, I believe.
Yeah.
You know, but here come now, like really now here at this space and time, and what we are experiencing nationally, like in terms of our daily experience in this country, it doesn't have to be this way. It actually, what we're experiencing on a day-to-day basis in this country doesn't actually have to be this way. Through our own actions, our own unity, and our own changes in how we perceive our responsibilities in this place, we can actually shift. And I guess that's.
Nah, you're speaking. You're making 100% sense to what you're saying. I see the bigger picture that you have in mind, like the ease, like. I tried to get it out from you earlier, like, yo, what's the plan here? But there is a plan that you can put in place that can slowly implement change and but I mean, yo, it's like nothing ever gets flippant.
No, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Nothing gets done when you sit behind the veil of your own house and you only watching media and you only discussing how negative everything is.
The complaining culture.
Then nothing gets done. I even think I'm going to go further than that, Chelsea, and I'm going to call it a moaning culture, not a complaining. A complaint is one thing, and a moan is another thing. I think a complaint can be constructive, but a moan is just not constructive.
How do we do more and not moan?
So I think
as individuals, because I mean.
There's so
much to be done.
Yeah.
So I want you to. I've been wanting to mention this for a while now, but like you hear Chelsea speak with a certain amount of sense of authority and experience when she speaks about social issues, and that's because after Chelsea left City Varsity, Chelsea is very active, like out there in the communities. And Chelsea goes to very dangerous places like this. This person that you see here is, can I say, like Chelsea is in Hanover Park on a daily basis, right? Amongst people who live the lifestyle of gangsters, amongst the young people who are at risk of gangsters. And Chelsea is working in that environment to try and make change. And not on a superficial level, with like a huge amount of dedication and responsibility. Now that's an example of somebody who's making change. And
She's putting the white privilege deep in her pocket, huh? Throwing it away.
I don't think it's about, like I'm always reluctant to talk about privilege. Because I have seen people who are underprivileged in terms of financial resources live very happy lives in communities where there is a tremendous amount of support. There's danger.
But it would be easier for you to come from that community and affect that community. But if you come from if you're an outsider like Chelsea coming in that community, I don't think it's that easy. So
definitely not easy.
That's a good thing to do. You know what I mean? That's why I say it's
unbelievable
work.
work.
Putting the pride away, putting the ego away, addressing what issue. So I look at myself. Am I doing that? Am I tucking, like going in, doing places and doing stuff like that?
So I'll ask you a question. What issue is the most pressing issue for you in South Africa?
Oh, it must be gender-based violence, because I have 2 daughters and I'm terrified for them growing up.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are you doing in terms of hours? I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, and I'm not sure if that's not the objective here, but I almost want to do this for anybody who's listening.
Yeah.
What on a weekly basis at a very constructive level are you doing about that thing? So I don't want you to answer it. Well, you can if you want, if you're going to answer. But like, I think every South African, and I think this is a spillover from apartheid, where apartheid was very much around disempowering people. So you ended up just handing all your power over to the government to make decisions, because their decisions were not necessarily what we wanted. So therefore, they weren't what we wanted. So therefore, we had to be taken out of the equation. And even people of privilege who were living as privileged under apartheid, the reason why they continued, many of them, is because they didn't know what was going on. They were disempowered in terms of information as well. To them, it was projected as a utopian society where everything was working well. Like they didn't know exactly what was going on in the townships. The propaganda was really good. So now, post-apartheid, we haven't worked hard enough to allow people to know that they actually have a lot to contribute. That's our civic duty. So we actually have to dedicate time, hours of our week and of our day to civic duty. And it's not wasted time, because either your time is spent doing that good and making a place safer, or your time is spent guarding your place against all these outside influences. So you're going to do the work anyway. Why not be proactive about it for us to be safer?
I just want to just interject there. I just want to tell the viewers also the definition of apartheid. They say it's a crime against humanity. Not a crime against people of color. It's a crime against humanity, meaning that even the everybody suffered, because you took away a certain right of the white person to integrate, and you see it still in Cape Town. You know what I'm saying? So we just have to. I always try to mention that. A lot of people don't want to acknowledge that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's one of those.
I see this podcast as a vehicle to drive change. I'm not moaning because we talk about issues, and then afterwards I like to bring about what the solutions. That's why I try to probe you guys for solutions. I might have solutions in my own mind, but I want to hear other people's solutions, how they would address it. And obviously you gave a perfect example of Chelsea giving back to the community, going into an area where she's not from and giving back. Like, what stops me from going into an area where I'm not from and giving back into that community? I have put back into the community before, like helping with various things. But yeah, it's what is that civic duty? What do we constantly doing to give back? Like I look after my own kids, like my daughters, like I'm upskilling them like with jiu-jitsu. I think that's a powerful tool that they can use one day, stuff like that. But what is the community benefit in? How am I trying to impact the community? I think that's a very, very, very important thing that people maybe overlook, or they're too busy in their own lives to try to make a change, or it's just like I can't anymore. It's crazy. Like yesterday, somebody was talking about the fact that that people in South Africa just accept things. We just accept everything. We just accept the fact that there's load shedding. We just accept the fact that there's gender-based violence. We just accept the fact that the government is stealing money. I don't know. It's probably built into our psyche from apartheid years, and now that's the way we continue to do this wrong. But we need to change.
Can I just say something in conclusion? This is my last thing that I want to say. So, with all our social ills that happens, we need to start thinking solution-based, and where there's a problem, there's a solution, and you can actually benefit from that solution. Actually, I think of just one of the things that the movie touches on is the education system. Look at what Fagan Muller is doing. Yes. He didn't just complain about, because he worked in the system, and he said, no, but I'm gonna create an alternative to it, and it's working for him. You know what I'm saying? So yes. you get what I'm saying. So we should maybe just switch that in our minds, that let's not just moan, like you say. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? There's benefit to it.
I think like the last thing I also just want to say is that we all have gifts. We all have a gift, and giving back doesn't have to look one way. It doesn't have to be actually making the sandwiches, or actually teaching the kids, or whatever it is, or rehabilitating the gangsters, or it doesn't have to look like it. That's your gift, great, but some people have money and that can be the gift. Some people have voices, like actors, like people that host a podcast, like teachers, like sportsmen. You know, everyone's given a gift, and I just think that yes, we have to make money. I understand that. We all have to make money. We have to look after our own families, but I see it as what we call in church kingdom work. And I think that we can all make space in our life for what our gift is and what our skill is, and we can use that to do something extra. And if every person, I know it sounds so cliche, but if every person just used a little bit of their gift to do something productive, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in today. That's
awesome way to finish off. Interesting. Kingdom duty, civic duty. Don't they have something else in Islam or so? What is it called? It's all like giving back to the community, basically.
Service.
Giving back.
Service to the community.
Being in service of the community.
Yes.
Yeah. You guys were in service of the community for this movie, man. That's what these guys did. So to all the haters out there that think it's not doing service of the community, you can listen to this podcast and you can hear all of our opinions and why we justify, or why they justify that we are. And I mean, Riaz, you come from this environment. You come from the teaching environment. I think that you are the 100% the right man to make this type of movie. There's no ways that somebody can tell you, nah, it's not so. Because if you loved it, you know what I mean? If a comedian, is talking about his own life and his own experience on stage, that is his art. It's not like he's making up a story about something like that. So yeah, I love the movie. I'm gonna keep watching it, keep sharing it, talking about it. I enjoyed Malusi. I enjoyed your bit of your dialogue, and you must be proud of it, my man. I mean, that little bit of art is gonna go on and live long into, like, Chelsea. I mean, what you've created here, like this movie is gonna be there for many years. I mean, your kids are gonna see it one day.
Yes,
huh?
Yes.
You imagine that? Like, that's something to be proud of, huh? Like, my kids watch me on this podcast and they're like, Daddy's on TV. But you are legit gonna have something like a flippin' movie to show. Man. So there's something for you to be proud of, bro. Something for your families to be proud of. Riaz, like, putting your ego away and allowing these young adults to thrive in creativity. Yeah, bro, that gives me flipping goosebumps. That's the shit that I like I'm a graphic designer and I call myself an ideas man. But like, I also have like graphic designers that work for me, and like, if I could just let them flourish, or you know what I mean, not try to put them in the box and like let them flourish and create their own beautiful art.
Yes.
That will be so dope. Like,
Yeah.
anything else you want to say in closing?
I want to say that for a long time now, I've been a little bit off the topic of the movie.
No,
But
we're
it's
just
there.
talking here.
Because you mentioned something, like, I think if there are jiu-jitsu practitioners out there who, I think a very valuable civic duty is to just dedicate 2 hours to going to a community center and running some very basic classes for the youngsters in that area. I think if you look at what happened with Brazilian jiu-jitsu in Brazil, it was a way out of the poverty. It was a way to create a code amongst young people.
Yes.
And I think it's a very valuable tool that I think should be brought anything in the martial arts, because it teaches a code of conduct.
You're speaking my language now, bro.
needs to get into the community centers in the
Yes.
poorer areas, and it's got a twofold effect. It teaches a positive philosophy. It teaches discipline. It keeps people off the streets, and it's enable self-defense. And it's an initiative I've been thinking about and wanting to engage with, but the time is not right for me at the moment, or it hasn't been for a while now because I've been extremely busy. But that is something that I think we need to think about, just generally.
If you ever want to put a program together, I've got it figured out already, right?
Okay.
So here's it. From grade R to say grade R, grade 1, 2, 3, grade 4, just jiu-jitsu, no striking. After grade 4, 5 extra, now you introduce striking, whether it be karate, boxing, etc. But before that age, you introduce no striking, so just grappling and stuff like that. Yes. I've got like this program like worked out in my head, because I believe exactly what you believe. I believe martial arts can drive so much change, and you can look in so many, like you say, in Brazil. You can look in these areas, in impoverished areas in France. There's so much like places where like people like Thailand. There's so many places that around the world where they learn this discipline, and just having like that code, that Bushido, that Ubuntu, whatever you want to call it, martial arts teaches that, like, and it's very valuable. I think it should be in schools. I really think so. But like previously, the people say no, and they're going to start beating each other up. That's actually the opposite effect.
Absolutely.
When people learn martial arts, they're less likely to strike the next person.
Yes.
That's what has been said. But anyway,
that's the one thing I was going to just plant a seed and say, like, I think that's something that should be done as one of the interventions to make improvements for us in this country. Because if you think about it, all the things that we discussed now,
yes,
right? We touched on gangsterism. It works against the gang. What do you want to call it?
Culture.
Work against the culture. It redirects the energy to a better place.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, you hug off each other. You still have the family and everything, but you don't have the negative aspects of shooting each other.
So there's that. Gender-based violence, if women are more capable with their bodies to be able to, and jiu-jitsu is a very good thing, because it's less about strength and more about strategy and more about leverage.
Yes.
So if you have those skills,
do you do jiu-jitsu?
I have
Your blue belt
in the past. I'm not training at the moment.
Oh man, that's brilliant.
So that it ticks that tick box as well.
Yeah.
So it's ticking so many tick boxes. I mean, and it's also if there was a need for male role models, you can get that from an instructor if you're not getting it from your household. And not to say that it's only male instructors. I guess there's a possibility of female instructors, but it's that energy. It's the energy of physical engagement. So I think that maybe is how I would like
I think there's really some value in it, and people like look away. Don't always look at the health aspect of what to do, like what you feel in your body with how you come to work, how you come to school, or you feel that when you come to school, or you come into school the empty stomach, so therefore you're miserable.
Yes.
Or is your body working optimally? You know what I
Yes.
mean? If you're weak and all those things, like when you start doing training, you sort of, your body becomes stronger, you eat better, everything goes into play.
Integrates, yes.
You make better choices. Anyway, we're gonna talk a lot. We can talk all day. Yeah. Amandla, you wanna say anything in closing, my friend?
I want to say that, Riaz, thank you so much for what you've done for us, and I just want to thank everybody out there for like showing support and love, for watching the film, and thanks to you guys for having us here to share our views, and we really hope that thank you.
Yeah, man. You guys, like I said before, you guys created an awesome bit of art. You notice I always talk about art. I love artists. Like, if you're a martial artist, if you're a graphic designer, if you're a painter, if you're a singer, any type of artist is flipping. They the shit to me. You guys are all artists here. We all sit in as artists. Even a podcaster, you create a podcast that's creating a bit of art. You put in your art out there, and if people like it, they like it. If people don't, but you know what? Your art that you created stimulated lots of mental, like, isn't art supposed to do that? It's like make you think. That's what it's supposed to do, and you guys did that. So anyway, man, thank you guys for joining me.
Thank you.
It's been a long one, but it felt very short. I know I talked a little bit, a lot at sometimes, and Riaz, I'd love to chat to you again, and there's tons that we can speak about it seems. But yeah, anyway, please watch the movie. It's been awesome. If you want to comment about the movie, comment on here, and I'm sure Bobawa is gonna Bawa. I'm bad at pronunciation. I'm sure she will maybe talk back to you there on the socials if we talk about the movie. And also, Mr. Meyer, watch it, nah. Don't come talk nonsense here about the movie, bruh. I'm coming for you. Jokes. Nanto, is that out? Are we out? You want to say anything in closing?
No, just thank you for giving us this opportunity to go in depth in the movie. I'm too baie gepraat vandag, but it's fine. It's a podcast. I think I just want to show this list. If you can see it, I make notes of the clips. Ik heb nog nooit zo bij notes like snippets gegeven wat ik moet nog weer roepen. So but thanks for being part of this movie. It's not only changing people's minds and perspectives and opening up conversations, but it's actually changing reality. You know what I'm saying? That you can't ask for anything better than that.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Cool, man.
Thanks for the
Peace. We out.
This is the